In today's video, I am going to help you build your own training program at the gym as a beginner. As a beginner, we are often confused as to where to start and what type of program would be the best for us. Today, I take you through the main objectives you should aim for and how exactly you should design your own program as a beginner. Very often, we reach out to someone to design a routine for us and end up paying quite a hefty sum for something very basic. Listen to this video carefully till the end and you will never ever have to pay for another workout program, at least as a beginner. So who is a beginner trainee at the gym? It is the person who is trying out a lot of movements for the first time and is in the process of developing his lifting form. This period of time could last anywhere from the first 6 months to a year or maybe even more. All too often I have noticed when somebody joins a gym for the first time, they go about doing marathon workouts, pick up random exercises and just use very poor form as they go about their work. A trained eye can easily spot the chaos and cringe in their training plans or lack thereof and form. I am going to first help you understand the goals of your training and ultimately enable you to use that knowledge to build your own training plan. Why should you join the gym? Actually, you do not need to. The gym, though, is a convenient place where you can progressively overload your muscles so that they adapt and get stronger. It is easy to do it at the gym because of the availability of plates, dumbbells and machines with small increments in weights. So why is it that we do movements like, let's say, a bench press? It is solely proven by science that these particular movements recruit maximum amounts of muscles through its range of motion. Your goal in the gym is to work your muscles through its natural range of motion and force your muscles to adapt and get stronger to the progressive increase in tension you provide them. The progressive increase in workload you provide to your muscles causes micro tears in the muscles and stimulates them to repair themselves stronger and bigger than before. Be mindful though that you do not need to be sore after your training sessions. But it is inevitable that if you have worked out for the first time or you are working out after a long break, you will experience a degree of muscle soreness. Just remember that the degree of muscle soreness is not representative of your quality of training. When you first join the gym, your primary concern is to develop lifting form. Form is the manner in which you perform your exercise movement. This lifting form is specific to you. This is because every single individual is built differently. People vary in structural attributes such as torso size, limb length and joint insertions. However, the basic principles remain constant for everybody so as to prevent injury. For example, you do not want to be flaring your elbows during a bench press or using your back for momentum during a bicep curl. Your primary focus cannot be of building muscle but of learning the movements. Perfecting a chosen movement will allow your muscle to adapt and get stronger. Muscle size is a byproduct of the muscle getting stronger. You will be hard pressed to find a muscular person who is not strong as well. Which brings us to the point of expectations. I have all too often seen people, especially younger individuals, with highly overinflated expectations of progress in their muscle building journey. I have heard of young athletes wanting to put on even more than 20 kilograms of muscle in a year. Let us be very clear that the only way you are going to achieve those numbers is if you have grown in height, gotten fat, or your scale is faulty. Even by using illegal performance enhancing substances, you will be hard pressed to reach those numbers. At this point, I would like to serve this as a warning as well. Illegal performance enhancing substances are much more common in your local gym than you would expect. But remember, when we lift, we are doing it for health and let us not indulge in anything which might take it away. Remember, these substances are illegal for a reason. The primary driver of muscle growth potential is genetics. Some people can just build muscle better than others. I am going to stay shy of delving into muscle fiber types here and the distribution for the sake of simplicity of this video. Just think of it this way. Some people are born with an artistic talent and some are not. It is similar with muscle building genetics. Other factors which influence the rate of muscle growth include your natural hormone levels, age, nutrition, if you are getting back into training after a long layoff, and of course quality of training. Women cannot expect to build large amounts of muscle as they do not have the hormones necessary to support large amounts of muscle mass. Do not, however, let genetics be the limiting factor in your fitness endeavors. Be consistent with your training and nutrition and you will be surprised at the results over time. Remember this, the rate of muscle growth is ridiculously slow. The rate of muscle growth is greatest when you are new to training and reduces the longer you train. Muscle grows, as mentioned earlier, as a response to stimulus you provide it. This does not mean that if you train for a longer duration of time on any given day, then the muscle will grow faster. Muscles adapt, get stronger, and grow in response to progressive tension you provide it over time. The key word you need to understand is time, for which you will have to learn patience. Zoom out and think of a training as a long-term investment. You should be in it for the long haul. There are no overnight successes. Next up, let us learn how to pick your exercises for your training program and train smart. Every good training program has got 5 basic movements: a vertical push, a vertical pull, a horizontal push and a horizontal pull, and a hip hinge movement. Note, these are the only movements you will need throughout your early lifting career as a beginner. As you gain more experience, you can look at adding some accessory movements. Laying out some examples of these basic movements. Pick one, stick with it until you perfect the form for the movement. After that, you can replace it with something else from the same category. Look to change the exercise only if you feel an overuse type of injury beginning to creep in or if you are getting bored. Do not go about changing your exercises too often, as it will be impossible for you to have a benchmark in order to achieve progression. The human mind and body can learn only so much in a given period of time. Therefore, if you have noticed, I have intentionally included only a few multi-joint exercises for you to choose from. This is to enable you to build a good foundation and help you develop some coordination and a mind-muscle connection. Perfect these basic movements, as they will help you build some base strength, and then you can look at adding some accessories. Look at it this way: you want to learn to walk before you learn to run. You would like to pass your school before you join an undergraduate program, right? So these exercises in essence are stepping blocks to a stronger future. Accessory exercises are those exercises which help in improving your primary movements. These could be single or multi-joint exercises. I am not going to elaborate on these too much right now so as not to confuse you, because as a beginner, it is not a requirement. Now that you have picked an exercise from each category, it is time to practice these. When you learn something new, the more you practice, the better you get. The same applies to your training. So practicing these movements twice a week is better than once. Thrice a week is better than twice. Is 4 times a week better than thrice? You may be able to do it initially, but as you get a little more experienced and your intensity increases, it might start to impact your recovery. So to summarize training frequency, train as often as you can during the week, provided you are well recovered and not overly sore before your next session. Remember, your muscles will adapt when you rest and not while you train. Your entire focus of training should be to increase your training volume in every subsequent training session. Training volume is your sets into reps into weight. This is how you create progression. So you could start by doing just a couple of sets of each movement. These are working sets and does not include your warm-up sets. Working sets are those sets where you are training close to technical failure. This is where you cannot force out another repetition even if you wanted to without breaking your form. Concentrate on increasing the repetitions, then look to increase the weight. If you get stuck here, then increase your sets. Pick a repetition range which you are comfortable with. Too low and you will train too heavy and sacrifice form and hence risk injury. Too high and you might be training in the cardiovascular range. That means you might run out of breath before your muscles fatigue. Always warm up before you start your training session and perform a few dynamic stretches to the key muscles and joints you will be training, and end your session with a few static stretches. In short, dynamic stretches are those movements that move your joints through its full range of motion, while static stretches are those movements where you hold a muscle in its lengthened position. I highly recommend that you maintain a training log. You could do this in written form or use an app on your phone. My personal favorite is an app known as MyFitNotes. Never train to failure on the big movements like the squat, deadlift and bench press so as to prevent injury. The squat and deadlift especially, besides training larger muscle groups, also involve smaller ones which are involved in stabilizing your body. Being smaller, they will tire earlier and hence put you at risk of injury. As for the bench press, you just risk dropping the bar onto yourself if you do not have a spotter. Until now, I haven't mentioned training the most important muscle of the body, the heart. Keep aside a day or two towards improving your cardiovascular health. In return, it will also help you with your endurance in the gym. When training, understand there are just 2 main variables you have to control: consistency and time. To be consistent, you have to enjoy what you're doing and stay injury free. Once you achieve this, you just need to work on being patient and not look for instant results. If this video provided you with some value, like, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Signing out, Dr. Rohan Fonseca.